This screen shows the general options available on RomanCart, and I'll just go through each one of these very briefly to explain a bit more about the options on this page. So the first one is to use UTF-8 encoding. Now this is something you really want to speak to your web designer about. What this means is historically web designers have normally specified a code page on a website on each page, and what that means is the character set that's going to be used on the page. Nowadays web designers prefer to use UTF-8, which encompasses all of the different character sets, and they will be advised whether you should be setting that on your cart. The next field is the RomanCart currency. Now one cart works in one currency, and you can select that currency there, and if you're selling in multiple currencies, then you'll need to use multiple carts to do that. Okay, so one cart per currency. Now, if you're selling in British pounds or pound sterling, you can show the US dollar and euro prices by ticking that box there, and it just shows an approximation. RomanCart language. There's two preset languages, which is English and American English. But if you've translated any of the text on RomanCart to have your own text instead of the default phrases, then you want to select your own translation there. Or if you've translated it into a different language, then you can select that there as well. If there's a minimum order value that you want your customers to place with you before they can be allowed to purchase, then you need to put that there. In other words, their order needs to be that value, or it will not be permitted to proceed. The minimum quantity, same again. They need to, if you want them to order a specific quantity of in total of all the goods, then select that there. Enter a name of your shop in the next field, and even if you're not going to use this, make sure you enter a name there, because it's used by some payment gateways. And if you want to show that name on your actual cart pages, then tick the box underneath. Obviously, if you've customized the cart to show perhaps a company logo which incorporates your name, then you won't want to tick that box probably, but otherwise just make sure you tick that. If you're only selling one item on your cart, which includes shipping and tax, and you're not using advanced tax or regional shipping and all that kind of thing, then tick that box there and it will bypass the basket page. Obviously you don't want to do that if you're using some of the payment gateways like Google Checkout, but you can bypass the basket page in those circumstances just by ticking that box there. If you want to append the item code into the front of the item name, then tick that box there, otherwise the item code won't be shown on the cart pages. And you can set the maximum number of different items in one cart that you'll allow. By default it's set to 50, but you can change that up to 200. Now you can specify your own invoice number ranges here, and by default it's set to your invoice number, which you'll see on the sales manager is set to the RC prefix followed by the order number, but you can specify your own custom invoice number sequence using these options below. And these first options here specify when the invoice number should actually be created, and then there's the definition of the invoice number underneath, such as the prefix. You can seed the invoice number with a specific number. In other words, it will start, the next invoice number generator will use that number, and you can set the minimum length of the invoice number as well. And there's a separate screencast which goes into a lot more detail on how you can use this functionality. So when customers go to your checkout page, if they then go onto the payment page but they abandon at that point without entering their card details, then that's called a not completed transaction, and you can be notified of those orders by setting your email address here and the time delay after which you'll assume the order is not completed. And that's useful because you get an email and you could look on the sales manager, find the details of the customer and give them a call perhaps to try and close that sale. Advanced users, you can post data back to your website. Say you want to get information out of RomanCart and have it posted to your website. The kind of most basic way of doing that is using this first option, which posts data to the success, failure and generic URLs that you enter. In other words, when a customer completes a transaction, they go back to your website, you can have this information posted in a kind of form post to your script on your web page. But it's much better to use this option underneath, which will post the transaction detail in XML format to a URL of your choice, and then you need to get your web developers to write an XML handler, and then you can obviously process that transaction. You can add it to your own databases or reduce your own stock levels on your own third-party systems, or do whatever you like using that system there. And there's a useful link there as well to view log. So if you're having problems and that kind of thing, then you can click on view log and it will show it will give you some idea as to what the problem might be. So the cart availability, if you go on holiday, if you're a really small company and you go on holiday for a couple of weeks or something, you can switch the cart off by deselecting that, and you can make it redirect to a different URL. In other words, you might have a page on your website which says, sorry, we're unable to take your order at this time, but do come back in a couple of weeks' time, whatever it is, and you can put the URL to that page in there. But really, what you really want to think about here, though, is it's not great if your customers only find out that you can't complete the order when they click on the Add to Basket button. It's much better if you tell them before that time. In other words, if you have this information on your actual website and say perhaps unavailable to order at the moment, but come back in a couple of weeks' time, whatever it is that you want to tell the customers. Time zone. So obviously RomanCart's used by many merchants in many different countries, and so you can specify the time zone there, and it shows the current cart date and time for your time zone there, and you can select whether daylight saving time is in operation as well. Now, if you're selling digital goods, here's a couple of options here. If the total size of all the goods that you're selling in one order is less than 1 megabyte, then if you tick the first option, then as well as the customer being able to access the download via a 48-hour time limited link, the download will also be attached to the confirmation email that's sent them. And if you want it to be attached to the copy of the email that's sent to you as well, you can tick this box underneath, and that's quite useful just so you can see what your customers have received. And if you want to allow the delivery address, if all the products in an order are intangible or downloads, you can tick this box underneath. And the only reason you might want to do that, for example, say you were selling software and you were shipping out, as well as allowing them to download the software product, you were shipping out with free shipping a boxed version of the software, then you could tick that box there, and then it will also ask them for a delivery address if all the items in the order are intangible or downloads. Now, RomanCart by default shows a Roman powered logo at the bottom of each cart page. You can switch that off using that tick box there, and that's only available on upgraded carts. And we also have a section of our website called the RomanCart Mal, and in that we list all of the shops that enter details on this page, so that you can we have lots of customers come to our website actually and look through the mail and often buy items from shops that are listed there, so it's worth doing that anyway. You just select the category in this drop down here and enter a description of your shop in that box there.